I got a question about manomaya kosha and working with the manomaya kosha, and sort of what kinds of philosophy to share with someone. So if you're newer to the course and you're not there yet, don't worry, you will be. So then the question is like when you're talking to somebody, often you're like, okay, we have a problem in the manomaya kosha, the conscious mind, the thinking mind. You know, it's not my job, you might think, to give advice, because I'm not an advisor exactly. Who knows if I'm qualified to give advice on any particular topic? Maybe you are, maybe you're not, right? That's not your training here, at least in this course. And we can give people like text, which I recommend often, or poetry or something ecstatic to like sort of guide their mind to more sattvic or more waking up kind of viewpoints. Because one of the problems is that the mind is too caught in that, I guess, what you call the ego state or the dualistic state, and it doesn't see that in addition to that, there's another reality, is one way to look at it. But this question got me thinking, and what got me thinking about is something that I have done, which might come up for you, which is it is okay to share sort of viewpoints based in like yogic texts and philosophy, especially if they've helped you. And one thing generally yoga teachers have studied, and we look at in this course, is the Yoga Sutras. And the Yoga Sutras have the Yamas and the Niyamas, as most of you know. And so it got me thinking that actually Patanjali had this on his mind as well, where there's a part of you that needs to be sort of progressing spiritually and seeing things as how they actually are, and not getting caught up in dualistic thinking. And there's a part of you that it's important to sort of, you know, open your, what would be called in Eastern tradition, say your smaller self sometimes, or your dualistic self, to give it rules and regulations so that it can be balanced. And so you have the yamas and niyamas, like nonviolence and truthfulness and non-stealing and non-greed. You know, if you are taking a look at the Yoga Sutras, which I know sometimes people use that text and share it with their clients, but you have to do it kind of skillfully. So, you know, chapter 2, we're usually working within chapter 2, not always. And in that chapter, you have these concepts of like, well, what would it be like to sort of walk through the world and in a truly nonviolent way? And what would it be like to commit yourself to serving the truth, you know, all the time? And, you know, what would you have to do internally, mentally to do that? And any of you that have done that work, which I'm sure there's many, and if you haven't, I recommend you take a look at those yamas and niyamas and give it a try. Pick one. You'll realize very quickly that it's not very easy. And what that takes is a shifting, right, of your conscious mind. You have to actually shift the way you think. And that, just like all habit change, is difficult for most people. So, but it's also really useful. So it's not the only thing you need to do, but in that context, you know, when you have a client and, you know, you're seeing that, you know, there's obvious work to be done. I mean, you don't put it to them this way, but you see that there's like a kind of rub between, and you see this in yoga circles a lot, where there's a rub between, or any meditation tradition, your spiritual experiences and your kind of lived experience. And so that integration, some of that integration needs to happen on that level. And until you do that work, it can't happen. So I've had clients like that we're having big dissonance, you know, trouble, and they've been really benefited by the exercise, and this is in the realm of a yoga therapist, by the exercise of like, try to practice these, or try to practice one. This is something I've done, you know, so you'd have to do it first. And, you know, it's really interesting because I found, let's say that, you know, sort of serving and telling the truth, especially to myself, all the time, is a very informative experience and will actually change your manomaya kosha.